Yo, it's Josh at Anesthetic Design. Today we're going to go through how to make a brutal death metal style kind of logo. Today is we're going to be picking the word live on air. Unfortunately, it's not the word of the day, Zarf. Like, that is amazing. I don't know what that means. What does it mean? Meaning and examples of Zarf. A holder, usually of ornamental metal, for a coffee cup without a handle. That's super cool, but not what we are going to be making a logo of today. Today, we're going to choose with thesaurus.com. Oh, this is dictionary.com. With thesaurus.com, we're going to look for synonyms of damnation, and we're going to choose a cool one. Suffering. That's the word of the day. Suffering is cool. Or maybe not cool, but you should at least get used to it. We're going to be doing plenty of that, aren't we? Life. Today, we're going to be working in Clip Studio. I've been enjoying this program of late. I recently was gifted, thanks to my lovely wife. I'm going to have to put this like across me, otherwise the green screen thing is going to not show it. A Wacom Intuos Medium. I don't know if it's the Pro version. It's very nice. And it came with a little free program called Clip Studio. It's super nice to, I think it's like 2 years of it free. So eventually I'll probably get suckered into paying some subscription for it. But it's very nice, light drawing software. It has a great ink engine. It's lovely to use. That's what I'm going to be using today, so that everything is on screen for you to see. I do like to work hand-drawn quite a lot, but this stuff that I'm going to be doing on the screen is a good facsimile for that, and I'll explain as we go the way that I would do stuff hand-drawn. So the word we chose was suffering. Can you say it with me, children? Suffering! Yay! We're all in it together, aren't we? Right, we're going to choose our pen tool. There's a few at the top here which I kind of like. The Turnip pen. So these are all from a... These are all from the same pen pack which I got. Where did I get it? Good question. Let's have a look. I'm sure I've got my brushes all in my folders. In my stock folder, my brushes. Frendon. That is the name of the guy there. Frendon brush pack. In here, now you can see like all the updates, the V14, V16 ones. So now I'm sure this was something stupid like $12, which is like £8. And it is something ridiculous like nearly 2,000 different brushes. It is mental. I've not been through all of them. I just loaded a ton and have found some that I like to use for different things for now. You can explore different ones at different times. But oh my gosh, the value you get from that is crazy. I think if you Google it, you'll find his website. He's not sponsored or anything like that. I just think that is pretty nuts value. He's just been updating it for years and never bothered changing the price. Crazy. Crazy man. So we're going to switch over to using the tablet here. And we're going to start, I think, with the letterer. I don't think we're going to bother trying to make this symmetrical and stuff today because we're on stream. We're just going to do a little quick one. I am doing a video coming up about finding symmetry in lettering. That's going to be an interesting topic to cover, but I think I need to go into a little bit more detail on that. So whilst we're on stream and we just picked the word, we're just going to hash it out with a little bit of an asymmetrical, savage looking thing. So I'm still in white here. We're going to start with a white background and draw in black, and then as we go down the line we can sort of mix things up a bit. If you were doing this on paper, you could be using a big Posca marker, a Sharpie or something, and just make some cool shapes that you think work nicely for the logo you want to do. I like the way that S came out, so I'm going to try and copy that kind of shape for the S's as well, for the F's as well.
Fear leads to anger, anger leads to hate, hate leads to suffering.
Don't sue me, Disney, please. It was just such a perfect rendition of. We're very quickly going to run out of space there, so I'm going to have to resize this. But let's continue for now. I don't like that R. I'm going to reduce this down a bit and continue going. And these are all fairly basic letter forms for now, just because I guess the thing that I really want you guys to get out of this is I ended up with a little bit of symmetry there, is the yeah, okay. Sorry, I've lost my train of thought there. Yeah, the thing we want to get out of this is sort of like the finishing. You could make the letter forms like whichever shapes that you like personally. And once you've got something you kind of like, you can sort of distort things using, if you're working digitally, whether you're in Photoshop or in your editor of choice, you can sort of distort things until you've got things looking the way you kind of like. And then once you've got your letters kind of where you're thinking you might like them to be, we're going to put a few drippy bits on this one. So we have this tool in here called a ruler. If you use your special ruler, you can draw a vertical line, and then you can only draw vertically after that, and that's useful in Clip Studio if you are making some cool letters. You can make some nice vertical dripping, which we're not going to do too much of today because we're on stream and we don't want this to last forever. But it's nice to have some cool dripping in your Brutal Death Metal logo. Now this isn't meant to look like anything much right now, because we're going to be going over it all with, like, imagine going over it with a piece of tracing paper and a fine liner. That's kind of my process usually. So we're going to do something similar to that with we're basically going to recreate that digitally. That's the vibe today. So So just painting all your nice vertical lines. Again, these don't have to be perfect because we're going back over them with the fine liner. When you're drawing these, it quite often looks pretty cool if you have like two kind of close together, like one big one, one little one. Sort of makes it feel like organic, like moss or something fleshy, kind of like it's like torn apart and is hanging down. And we could go into all webbing and everything, but I think for this one I just like it to be the word and the drippiness. And we'll see if we can't get a little bit of kind of symmetry in there with a bit of, I don't know, should we put some horns on it or something? I feel like we could put some horns on it and make it look a little bit like horned and symmetrical. Maybe on the top of that G, and then just have that like going there. We need to get rid of our vertical ruler so that we can draw different ways again. So like if like off the G we had like three little kind of horned bits coming off of there. And then follow a similar kind of pattern on the S. Again, doesn't have to be perfect, just the kind of like the suggestion of symmetry. And I know that it looks like stupid right now, but it's going to be all drawn over. So what you want to do if you're going to recreate in your, if you're working like I do, hand drawn and everything, then you're going to be using tracing paper for this next section. But if you are working digitally like me, create a new layer above what you're doing and fill it with white and make it an opacity where you can see the stuff through. And another new layer on top of that where we're going to be drawing in black with whatever your favorite brush is that approximates like a fine liner. And from then on, it's just a matter of going around the whole thing with your fine liner pen or brush or whatever is your favorite thing to do, and starting to sort of hash it out in whatever your preferred style of knot is. I like to go with this kind of, it's like a few little bits and then one big spike. Kind of makes it feel quite organic. My spikes I like to be like smooth on one side and then sort of razored on the other side, almost like a big gnarly knife or some kind of like organic like bit that comes off a beetle's leg or something. You can, if you want to, start sort of like conjoining letters a bit so it looks like it's all one big gnarly piece rather than a bunch of separate letters. It makes everything feel homogeneous. What a fabulous word. Homogeneous. And they can all join together at whichever points you feel works best for the letters, for the words. I'm obviously going through this pretty fast right now because I'm on stream and I'm trying to kind of get it hashed out for you guys to be able to see what it's going to look like. I would recommend taking your time a bit over how things look so you can kind of make it all feel very similar. It's quite easy if you're cutting through everything at quite a pace. It's pretty easy to kind of start in one style, and then as you're going through you kind of accidentally like switch it up, and then your last letters start to look not really the same as your letters were at the start. I kind of have a general style that I default to when I'm doing like quick blast overs, which I sometimes use as like an initial kind of version. Like I will do ones that look like what I'm doing now and then work over the top of it again. It depends on what the project is for, who the client is, how gnarly things want to look. It could be just a second set of amendments that you've done the first time, and then it's not looking right after that. So then you work back into it. That's the cool thing about working digitally, or I mean, even if you do things hand drawn, you can, after you've finished hand drawing it, you will of course scan it back in so that you can finish it off digitally, or at the very least vectorize it so that it's useful to a printer or to stick on a t-shirt design. We're really ripping through this. Sorry I've been absent for the last few weeks. We kind of had like a pretty ripping cold blast through this house, and everybody was out of action. And then we went on holiday, so I mean at least half of that was nice, so it's been good. Went out to Belgium. All sweet. Super nice family times. Very little suffering. The first week was suffering. It can sometimes pay to zoom out and check that what I described earlier is not happening about things becoming the wrong style or whatever. In this case, we're doing good. We're on track. Everything is looking similar. Although I don't like that these two letters join and then we've stopped doing that here, so I'll probably go back in and join those up there. Although they are way further apart there, maybe I can shuffle them in a bit. At least for that one there, because there's a big gap there. If I select this portion, And with whatever the move tool is in this program, can I just bonk it across? No, that bonks the selection. Let me select you, sir. So I'll at least move that portion in so the E can join onto the back of the R there. And then these ones will probably join across here. Unless I put that, do you think I should put the bar of the Fs like through the whole thing, like a gnarly like arrow? Would that look cool, or is that just like cringe? Make sure if you go and work on a different layer, make sure you select the correct layer before you start drawing again. I have known that pain many a time. You're 4 hours deep, and then you go to make a selection, and the selection is all of the layer because you've drawn onto the tracing paper or something that shouldn't have been drawn on, and it has been drawn on. Like a Crayola on a bedroom wall. Not actually got that far yet with my kids. We've managed to keep the Crayola mostly within the confines of their workbook and drawing paper and whatnot. That's yeah, so that there is where I want this one to join across. So that's going to shoot up as like a brutal sticky outy bit, and then it's going to kind of across there like that. Yeah, whilst you're drawing, so it's like if you're drawing a car, you should be making vroom vroom noises, and whilst you are drawing something disgusting, you should be going like that. Or you should ideally, I think the most important rule, I'm freeballing it here because of copyright, but what you should really be doing is listening to the genre of music. If you're making a black metal logo, you should be listening to black metal, and you should have frostbitten fingers and pure hatred coursing through your veins. And if you're making a Slam logo, you should have Slam playing and just shit yourself. Because that is about as Slam as it gets. These ones over here, I'm going to try and thicken up that side of that F there a little bit. And I'm going to use that as a chance to connect those up there. And then that one, I don't know if I want to do it like exactly the same on that side, but it's kind of the only place where they get close. Apart from extending that across, but I don't know if I want to do that. Or if I change the shape of the E to kind of come more down this way, and they can like merge up here. And then that gets really thin there, so let's... Kinda... We'll see how that looks once we color it all up, if it's yay or nay. And sort of make that work over there. Made this a bit wonkier. And then probably have to kind of like force it over this way a bit. So that it's got a reason to join up with the bottom of the N there. Or maybe even the top of the N here. Maybe both. I don't know. See if we bring that leg more like down this way, it has more of a reason to kind of join up there. And yeah, we are kind of freeballing it a bit, aren't we, here? But, you know, live TV, you gotta make it up as you go sometimes, you know? These two get nice and close together there, so that one's all good there. So then, yeah, just I think as we speed up here a little bit, we are kind of getting a little bit looser there than we are in here with the quite tight spikes. I'm just trying to really blast it so that we don't spend too long going through all this. But that's the cool thing about digital, again, is that like everything can be adjusted afterwards. If you find that some bits aren't spiky enough to your liking, you can always add more. Go back into certain bits and pimp them out however you want them to be to make things match up. You can even like copy parts from another bit. Sometimes that's a quick and easy way to get a symmetry win, is to just copy pieces from the other side and just like, I don't know that, and just copy it over to where you're working. There we go. Tiny annoying bit. How dare you? But yeah, you can see how quick it all kind of comes together. Obviously, I've been doing this a while, and this is kind of a chill, basic look at like how you could make something look metal. It's not necessarily a full-on like design process. That is a bit more in depth with, you know, sketching and back and forth with the client and coming up with some crazy recognizable shape and stuff. This is more just like a cool way to pick a word and make it look badass and metal as hell. Kind of applying the same technique to something that is sort of quickly made up. And of course, sometimes that is the look. But then sometimes it takes a bit more. I don't like the top of this R being all circular. I'm going to kind of straighten this out here. And then have this come over there more. Like back that way, yeah. So then you've got your whole logo there. All your stuff here. Rather than going and coloring it all in like crazy, you can select it all from the inside. Has that selected the whole thing? I think it has. And just sort of expand your selection a tiny bit, just so it's like, if you just have the selection and paint, you get that little pixel gap. But if you go to the layer below and fill that now, it's kind of, you get more of a completed look. So we can duplicate those layers and then merge those. Merge selected layers. Change the background to black. And change our, if you put pixel lock on, is there a pixel lock? Lock transparent pixels. We can switch it to white here, and then you get kind of like a little preview of how it's gonna look. And yeah, this is not the craziest, wildest death metal logo in the world. It could definitely use a bit more work, but that gives you a nice quick overview of how you can pretty quickly apply these styles to anything, pretty much. If we take a letter again here and just start like you can go and edit things. You can, if you want to make everything super, super sharp, you can go back in and sort of like paint black like into the edges here and make it all super sharp. You can of course come in and just add as much detail as you want, as you do or don't want. I think I would do something about these spaces in here, sort of curve the F's in a different way to make them fit better and things like that. But that gives you a good idea of like the basics of how to just blast out a word and then make it look pretty sick. You can of course, you can start texturing and things like that. And then when you get super deep into crazy shapes and things, you can make some pretty badass stuff. This is the Crimson Pantheon one I did recently, which is like a Lorna Shore symphonic death metal, symphonic deathcore type thing. Don't let the death metal fans know that I accidentally called Lorna Shore death metal. I do have my Heathen one here. That's just opening up in Photoshop now. And the big crazy one I did, that was a wild slammy one, Predatory Mutation. Very spindly. As you can do these in so many different styles. That was a sort of modern urban-y style type one. It says this city will kill us all. I just saw the one I was looking for, and now it's gone again. That one's kind of more black letter, hardcore style, with some cool effects put over the top of it. I like how everything blasts out from the center on that one. Heathen here has opened up as well. That one is like was originally black letter and then has lots of like spindles over the top of it, lots of webbing and dripping on that one. And here is like the wildest shape one I think I've come up with it. It says Warp Gate. It does actually say that in there, the letter forms. And then with lots of dripping and webbing and extra spikes and stuff added to that. Love how that one came out. So you can see with a bit more time and effort put into the actual design process before you start applying that style. The style that's applied to this shape is exactly the same as what I just showed you. It's just the fact that that's a really simple kind of lettering. But the actual, like, when you look at it, the style, the lettering, it's the same. It's just about the shape. So you can make a wild ass shape and apply the same styles to it. Like I said, I'm going to do a more in-depth video on finding symmetry. So this is obviously a fairly symmetrical logo, and how you can basically take any word, make it look symmetrical. A bit more about the in-depth design process to the base of a logo, and how you can do that yourself. And then you can take this that we've been through today and apply that kind of style to the cool shape that you came up with. Pretty quick one today. Fun one. That was nice to blast out a little DM logo. I hope you have fun with it. I hope you have a nice week. I will see you again a similar time next week. Ciao for now. Like, subscribe, all that jazz. Yeah, cool. Cheers.